American Aerospace Defense Command, bored into the center of this mountain, monitors the skies. Surveillance video cameras monitor sales at the Dragon Arms Gun and Ammo store in Colorado Springs.
Hey, I got these Tech 9s, the mini Tech 9s.
These men are members of the Gangster Disciples. They are hardcore gang members, purchasing semi-automatic weapons with the intent of arming their soldiers on the streets. They are committing a federal offense. 3 have come from Gary, Indiana to acquire the guns. Their orders came from Chicago. 25-year-old Gerald Ivy, seen here signing the gun paperwork, is the gang's number 2 in command in Colorado. He's a soldier in 2 armies, the Gangster Disciples and the U.S. Army.
Things that we're going to have to do is call the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Scott Thomason worked the Ivy case undercover for the ATF.
Gerald Ivy had to use his connections that he was making in the Army to supply his fellow gang members in the Chicago, Illinois area with what they wanted, and that was drugs and guns.
Well, wait a minute.
Thomason explains that Ivy held a very powerful position within the gang hierarchy and was even going higher.
It was only a matter of time before he moved into the head position of the Colorado Gangster Disciple organization.
Chicago police have said that the Gangster Disciples have spread their criminal tentacles all over the country. Thomason has felt them around his city.
Our investigation was able to realize that the emergence of the Gangster Disciples as a full-fledged member of organized crime was being facilitated by members of the U.S. military. Every Gangster Disciple in the United States is in some way, shape, or form related to Larry Hoover, and that's what makes them so dangerous.
Sergeant Gerald Ivy was stationed at Fort Carson. It's the largest Army base in Colorado. Ivy was a Gulf War veteran. He served in Desert Storm as a medic. At the time of his arrest, he was in school, slated for a promotion in rank. Now, he's at the military prison at Fort Leavenworth, serving a 15-year sentence. The Ivy case illustrates how organized the Gangster Disciples are. Gang intelligence learned that high-grade and cheap marijuana was available in El Paso.
What Ivy did was he had some associates who were also in the Army. He asked them, hey, where was your last post of duty? And they would say Fort Bliss or El Paso, Texas. And then he would say, well, can you buy marijuana for me?
Ivy introduced his Army buddies to members of the Gangster Disciples and their associates who came down from Gary to Colorado to meet them at his house.
We're upstairs in the family room.
They were recruited by the gang and paid $200 to $300 each and every time they went to Fort Bliss to pick up the marijuana.
Small scale.
It was brought back to Ivy's house where it was recut and repackaged.
You've got...
The criminal operation was broadened to include the purchase of weapons not available in Gary or Chicago. While Ivy recruited soldiers to purchase drugs, he also located a local gun shop where he could get guns for the gang. Ivy and his GD associates visited Dragon Arms several times, buying 13 semi-automatic weapons total. Using Ivy's military identification, they walked out with whatever guns they wanted within a half hour.
Dragon Arms in my military ID and my driver license.
Ivy, right. He looked like a regular, normal, everyday guy, you know.
Mel Bernstein, a transplanted New Yorker and admitted gun nut, owns the gun shop where Ivy made his purchases. He calls himself Dragon Man.
Yeah, this place, Dragon Arms, attracts gang members, those kind of people, because we do have these kind of guns that they'd love to own. This is an SKS. Back when he bought it was like $115. This here's a Tech 9. It holds 32 rounds, a 32-round magazine. This here's a 37-millimeter grenade launcher. This is a fully automatic MAC-10. It shoots a 45 bullet, and this week they're on sale. They're only $1,200. Yeah, they could do a lot of damage if it gets in the wrong hands, but so does a Chevy or a Ford truck.
Sergeant Ivy didn't steal any weapons from the Army. He didn't have to. He got whatever he wanted here very easily.
Ivy could have bought a 50 caliber machine gun if he wanted to. Aim it, and all that's legal in the state of Colorado. What you do is drop it in there.
Ivy was a straw man, someone who buys weapons for another person who's not legally eligible. In his case, the Gangster disciples.
One box. Show you right on there. SKS rifle, 7.62.
The guns were brought back to Ivy's house to be shipped out of the state by gang mules or couriers, along with the marijuana.
Paperwork on top of the refrigerator in a blue paper notebook, indicia of Gangster disciple writings.
Evidence of the drug and gun operations were strewn all over Ivy's house when federal agents hit it with a search warrant. Gangster lists,
Piece of paper.
drugs, weapons purchased from Dragon Arms, and a potato wrapped in duct tape used as a silencer were found in the midnight search.
Of marijuana.
Bundles of marijuana that were being repackaged for sale were found in a burlap sack strewn among Ivy's Army uniforms hanging in a closet. It was the only indication this was the home of a military man in service.
Facilitated by...
According to Scott Thomason, the Ivy case is not unique. The Gangster disciples had a long relationship with the U.S. Army. He says these men, all now in federal jail, once held the gang's top position in Colorado. All served in the Army. All of them were from Chicago.
The use of the military by this organization and the willingness of non-commissioned officers who have taken a sworn oath to serve and protect the United States, and but their actions are actually very denigrating to the United States, shocked me greatly.